All right, an EU ruling came down on Apple today, sees the company owing Ireland around $14.5 billion in back taxes. No big deal. Joining us to talk about this is Christina Warren from Gizmodo. First of all, congratulations on your new gig.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's week 2, so I'm still learning the lay of the land and everything, but it's exciting.
That's awesome. Well, you're still, I mean, obviously, you're still pumping out great work now at Gizmodo, and this is an excellent article. Tell us a little bit about what this ruling stems from exactly.
So basically, the way that Ireland's tax structure has been set up for many years, lots of companies, not just Apple, Amazon is one of them, Google is one of them, I think Facebook, basically kind of treat it like a tax haven. And they have basically a way that allows companies to kind of funnel money into Ireland and then not pay significant tax rates on it. And what a lot of companies do is that they're able to book European revenue or revenue that even happens in countries outside of Europe, basically any place other than the United States. They're able to book that revenue and say that, it was associated with Ireland and then pay a tax rate that they've agreed upon with the Irish government. Usually in exchange, they get a really low tax rate in exchange for building out lots of jobs and putting their headquarters there. So basically, Apple's had this arrangement with Ireland for quite some time. I think, their original agreement with them goes all the way back to 1991. But the European Commission basically said, the European Union Commission rather basically said, this isn't okay, and you owe them $14.5 billion.
Yeah, I mean, both Apple and Ireland have said that there was no wrongdoing, yet here we are. I mean, exactly. This is quite a turn of events if there was no wrongdoing along the way.
No, well, it's very interesting because Apple's like, we did nothing wrong. Ireland's like, Apple did nothing wrong. The U.S. government's like, they did nothing wrong. But the EU is like, no, you owe us money. And on its face of it, I'm not a tax expert, obviously, and I'm not a lawyer. But on its face of it, it does seem ridiculous that the rate of taxes that they've paid. But at the same time, this is agreements that countries like Ireland have made in order to get infrastructure and jobs in their countries. So it's sort of a weird scenario where everybody in this scenario is like out for themselves. Like everybody is completely self-interested. Like Apple and Ireland have their own self-interest at heart. The EU obviously has its own interest at heart. And the tax bill, the funniest part, to me, is that even though it's obviously a huge amount of money, Apple has over $200 billion in cash. So, a $14.5 billion tax bill, that's significant, but that's basically what, that's about maybe 10% of their iPhone revenues for the year.
So do you think they're going to appeal?
Oh, yes. Apple has already said that they're going to appeal. Not only did they say they would appeal this morning, but then Apple released, Tim Cook wrote a very long-winded letter that's up on apple.com, basically kind of outlining, saying, we're doing everything right and kind of showing their history working with Ireland. Who knew that Apple was such a big partner in Ireland, but they've got photos going all the way back. I mean, it's really a little bit ham-fisted, but if I'm going to be honest, but no, they're definitely appealing. And I was reading, I think Bloomberg had a really good piece about like what the kind of an FAQ about what the process is going to be, and they said the appeal process could be 4 to 5 years, which to me says if you're Apple, I would take that $14.5 billion, put it in, some sort of annuity or whatever, and I bet that by the time the appeal fruition, the interest that has been earned on
that's a really good point
would probably pay whatever their tax bill would end up needing to be.
So, yeah, that's a really good point. Man, do that. So you also mentioned Facebook, is involved in it. Well, Facebook's involved in a tax dispute with the IRS, has significant operations in Ireland. I'm sure there are other major companies that are also doing this. Does this spell doom and gloom for them as well?
I mean, it could. Yeah. I mean, it certainly could. And I mean, I think that it all depends on what happens with the appeal. And obviously, Apple and Ireland are going to appeal. It's not clear to me, and I wasn't really able to find an answer to this in any of the readings. But one thing that could complicate this, obviously, would be, some of the things that might happen with the Brexit. So that becomes kind of an interesting thing too. I don't know.
So, I mean, why is Ireland saying they did nothing wrong? Is it just that they're getting so many jobs from Apple and they want them to stay there?
Yeah, I think it's a big part of that, and because they've worked out these agreements, to bring it's not dissimilar to in the United States. We have a lot of states will do tax write-offs for companies to do movie productions. So like I'm originally from Atlanta, and the state of Georgia now makes a significant amount of money from its income on by bringing in film production crews. And so, you watch The Walking Dead or you watch, the Hunger Games films, they're actually filmed in Atlanta. And they do that because they get tax breaks. And used to see that happen in Canada and in some other parts of North America too. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's about bringing in jobs. It's about creating infrastructure where it wouldn't exist otherwise. And I think the recognition too would be that even though they claim that this tax bill is this huge amount, because of the way things are kind of being funneled through, it's not as if Ireland, which is a very small country, has itself done enough revenue, for Apple to be, taxed on $14.5 billion. I don't think that's possible. It's mostly a kind of a factor, the fact that they've taken any money that's been earned in Europe and kind of, said our European headquarters is in Ireland, and so this is where we pay our tax rate.
Cool. Well, I'm really looking forward to the next 4 or 5 years of following the incremental details that surround this case through the appeals process, once that even begins.
I think they should just pay them in iPhone 7s that no one buys.
Yeah.
Good strategy.
Yeah. So I did the math, guys, and I figured out how many iPhones it would cost, to pay the tax bill. And at the average selling price of $595 per iPhone, which is what the last average selling price was, it would be 24.7 million iPhones. So that would be, iPhone 7 is going to have a little bit higher ASP, but so we're maybe looking at, like 22 million, maybe 21 million. So yeah.
Everybody in Ireland gets an iPhone 7. You get an iPhone 7. You get an iPhone 7.